Okay, so today we're going to be focusing on adding and subtracting decimal numbers. In this case, you can have positive or negative numbers. So let's try a problem. So here's an example. Let's say 5.4. So 5.4 plus negative 9.7. Okay, so if we're adding a negative number, remember you have to multiply the signs together, right? So positive times a negative equals negative. So this becomes 5.4 minus 9.7. Okay. Now we know that negative 9.7 is bigger than 5.4, so our final answer is going to be a negative number. So let's subtract both numbers. So we're going to have negative 9.7 plus 5.4. Alright, so when we have a negative number plus a positive number, you're supposed to subtract, right? Alright, so we subtract from right to left, right? So what is 7 minus 4? 7 minus 4 is 3. Alright, then we put decimal point below that. So what you want to do with the decimal points, you want to kind of line up where the decimal points are. Alright, so you put a decimal point after the 3. Okay, now what's 9 minus 5? 4. Now, because 9.7 is bigger than 5.4 and 9.7 has a negative sign before it, the final answer is a negative number. So it's negative 4.3. Alright, let's try another one. So we have 10.8 plus a negative 4.73. Okay, I want you to try this on your own. Pause the video, and then we'll go from here. Okay, so first things first. We have the signs right here, positive and negative. So again, we have to multiply it out. So positive times negative is equals negative. So it equals 10.8 minus 4.73, right? So we need to subtract these two numbers. Okay, so now let's subtract the decimals. So we have 10.8 minus 4.7. Okay, so now we have 3 right here. So if you notice that this decimal number goes to the hundredths place, this only goes to the tenths. However, we know that if we add a 0 after the 8, that is also equal to just 10.8. So whenever if you have a decimal number where one decimal number is like longer than the other, you can just keep adding zeros to kind of make everything aligned. So now you can actually subtract the number now. Okay, so let's subtract from right to left. Alright, so we know that 0 minus 3, you have to borrow from the next digit. So 8 becomes 7, and this becomes 10, right? So 10 minus 3 is 7. Okay, now what is 7 minus 7? 0. Then we put a decimal point, because it lines like so. Okay, and then 10 minus 4 is 6. Alright, so the final answer is 6.07. Okay, let's try a couple more problems here. Alright. let's try. Let's see. Yeah, that's a good one. How about negative 7.1 plus 3.63? Alright, pause the video and try to solve the problem. Okay, so we have a negative sign and a positive sign. So whenever we have these, you're supposed to subtract both numbers. But again, because this number 7.1 is bigger than 3.63, our final answer will be a negative number. So we have negative 7.1 plus 3.63. Now again, like the other problem, since this has two more decimal points, we just add 0 to kind of make everything aligned, okay? So now we can subtract going from right to left. So 0 minus 3, we borrow 1 from the next digit, so 1 becomes 0. 0 becomes 10. 10 minus 3 is 7. Okay, 0 minus 6, so can't do that, so I've got to borrow from the next digit, so 7 becomes 6. 0 becomes 10. 10 minus 6 is 4. Add a decimal number. Okay, now 6 minus 3 is 3. Okay, now because we talked about before, 7.1 is the bigger number, our final answer is going to be a negative number. So 3.47. Let's check that. Yeah, negative 3.47. Alright, so let's try a couple of more problems. Let's try something a little bit harder. Okay, let's try adding 3 decimal numbers, okay? So it's going to be 8.7 plus 3.8 plus 12.3. Okay, try doing this problem on your own. Pause the video and then we'll go through the process. Alright, so we have 3 numbers, 8.7, 3.8, 12.3. Now, the thing, if you add, you know, all 3 numbers, what you can do is, there's two ways of doing this. You can just add one number to the other, and then whatever answer you get from that, you can add to the next number. Or you can just stack them up, like 12.3 plus 3.8 plus 8.7, and just try to add everything going up and down. But in this case, let's just try adding 2 numbers, and whatever answer we get from that, we add to the 12.3. So 8.7 plus 3.8. Okay, let's add them together. Alright, 7 plus 8 is equal to, what is that? 15, right? Alright, so we bring down the 5, and then the 1 from the 15, you add that to the 8, right? Plus 8. Alright, so 8 plus 1 is 9, then 9 plus 3 is 12. Right, and don't forget to put the decimal point after the 2. Alright, so we have 12.5. Now we add that to 12.3, which is that number right there. So let's add those numbers. 5 plus 3 is 8. Alright, put a decimal number, point, and then 2 plus 2 is 4. 1 plus 1 is 2. Okay, so the final answer is 24.8. Alright, let's try one more problem. So this one's going to be a little more challenging because it's going to involve a lot of negative numbers and stuff. So we're going to have negative 13.6 Alright, plus 12 minus negative 15.5. Okay, pause the video and then we'll go from there. Okay, so we can just go in order. So what we can do is, unlike adding numbers, right here when you subtract, you have to kind of go in order, because when you add numbers, it doesn't really matter which order you add it in, because they all end up being the same. So we have to go from left to right here, okay? So we have negative 13.6 plus 12. Alright, since this is a negative number, that's a positive number, we're supposed to subtract these two numbers. And then whatever answer you get from here is going to be a negative number, and then we try to keep going from there, okay? Okay, so negative 13.6 plus 12. Now, obviously, 12 is a whole number, but you can add a 0.0 just so that everything lines up, because 12 and 12.0 are the exact same number. Alright, let's subtract. So 6 minus 0 is 6. Bring down the decimal point. 3 minus 2 is 1. 1 minus 1 is 0. And the final answer, well, not the final answer, but the answer here is negative 1.6. Alright, but we're not done here yet, right? Because there's another step. Because we have these numbers, which we already did, minus a negative 15.5. Now, since we have a negative and negative out here, we have to multiply these out. So this becomes negative times negative equals a positive, right? So what happens is that this negative 1.6, we're supposed to add 15.5. Okay? Alright, so now that since this number is a positive number, 15.5, and this is a negative number, we're supposed to subtract them again, okay? So it becomes 15.5 minus 1.6. So my suggestion is, if you have a decimal number where it has more whole digits, you know, like for example 15 is bigger than 1, I would put that on top because it makes it easier to subtract. Okay, so now let's subtract. So 5 minus 6, well, we can't subtract that, so we got to borrow from the next digit. So 5 becomes 4, and then this becomes 15, right? So 15 minus 6 is 9. And bring down the decimal point. 4 minus 1 is 3. And then just bring down the 1. So the final answer is 13.9. And sure enough.